Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The great Tadpole Jackson presiding. Well, guys, today I really wanted to make an actual video on a sort of a sensitive topic out there in the world, or in the country of America right now. And this whole thing with the Sharia law courts, and how a lot of Muslims want it to happen, a lot of non-Muslim people want it to happen, a lot of non-Muslim people don't want it to happen. Well, I'm here today to inform you that it can't happen. We cannot have a court supporting Sharia law here in America. Because here in America, we believe and have the right of separation of church and state. And Sharia law, if you look at it, is not an actual format for law. It is actually a religious practice. So for us to say we can have a court that supports Sharia law here in America is going against our own belief of separation of church and state. Now, granted, I don't have a problem if you yourself are Muslim, Christian, if you follow the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster and want to wear a colander on your head. I have no problem with this. I know people from multiple religions and multiple backgrounds. I really don't care what your religion is. But I'm not going to follow your religious practices or quote-unquote laws as real law here in America. Because we can't have that. Because here in America, we have such things as separation of church and state. You let that sink in. Separation of church and state. Which means our laws, what we base our court systems on, are not there to worry about what your religious practices are as a form of law. We're not going to have it. It's not going to happen. It can't happen unless you break the rule of separation of church and state. Which in that case, if you're going to do that, you'd have to allow other courts to support other religious laws from other religions. Which means we'd have people saying it's okay for you to murder and sacrifice a person and rip out their heart to the Mayan gods. Because according to their rules, laws, and practices of their religion, that was okay. But it's not. It's still murder. Sharia law states that you can rape a woman and get away with it. You can literally, with Sharia law, if a woman says, or a person in general says that they were raped, they have to have no less than 5 witnesses. 5 witnesses to prove that they were raped, or the court case is thrown out and it's considered false accusation. Which means you have to have 5 people there while you're being raped in court, witnessing your rape. You didn't try to stop it, by the way. They just witnessed it. You have to have those 5 people in court with you in a Sharia law court to prove you were raped. If you have 4 people, it don't matter. You have 3 people, it don't matter. You have to have 5 or more people. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 people who saw you being raped, didn't try and stop the rape, just happened to see it, to prove you were raped if you are a female or male who has been raped. We're talking about a court system. A religious practice system, I should say. You want us to have a court system that supports your religious practices, that says that it is okay for you to marry an infant child. And then consummate that marriage once that child is between the ages of 9 to 14 years old. Really? This can't happen. This is not gonna happen. But if you have a court that supports Sharia law, that is what will happen. And that's another reason why things like this can't happen. We want to better America, make better opportunities, to equalize the gaps between men and women and other religions and other countries and other races and everything. Well, activating a court that supports Sharia law here in America is going against all of that. You are supporting a religious practice in a court system that is okay with degrading women, that make women lesser of a being, that literally says, if your woman disagrees with you, you are to beat the crap out of her. A practice that says you can legally have a wife for each day plus concubines, which are basically a nice way of saying sex slave. Like Solomon or whoever it was in the Christian Bible, who had 500 wives. Well, he didn't have 500 wives, or how many wives they said. He had about 200 wives and like 300 concubines. Which means he had 300 sex slaves. Okay? We're not okay with that in America. We're not okay with sex slavery here in America. We are not okay with a man marrying a small infant child and then statutory raping her, which means having sex underage. You're saying you want a court system here in America that allows people to have sex with an underage person and marry an infant child, and says that you have to have multiple, at least 5 or more, eyewitnesses to you being raped. That's not supporting female empowerment. That's the opposite of what our country wants, of what our world wants. Okay? We cannot have these things. All this is going to do is make our country worse than it already is. And I'm not blaming the bad parts of our country right now on a president who's only been in office for like 4 or 5 weeks. Okay? I'm not going to. I'm not going to put this on Trump. I'm not going to put this... I ain't even going to put this on Obama. Our country's been in a bad disarray since the beginning of our country. We have not yet stopped being at war with ourselves or other countries. Not saying that America's not a good place to be. We have a lot more freedoms here than in almost any other country out there. Almost. I said almost. So before you start commenting or getting mad at me for watching this video, oh, he says America's better than every country and you have more freedoms than every country. Well, look at this country. Look at that country. No. I said almost every country. And you look at how many countries there actually are, we have a lot more freedoms here than about 60%. That's why I said almost. Almost meaning almost, not all. If I meant all, I would have said all countries, not almost all countries. But I mean, come on. You want to work towards a better future for America? Well, then let's look at the problems with our actual country. Okay? Number one, it has nothing to do with what I say or what you say. Okay? Stop trying to take our freedoms of speech. Our freedom of speech. Stop trying to take that away from us, people. All the SJW types. Well, you can't say this because it might offend somebody. You can't say this because it might offend somebody. Well, according to the Constitution of America, according to our amendments, our laws and rights in this country as citizens, I have the freedom and you have the freedom to say whatever you want to say. Not do, but say. It's that simple. Other countries don't have that. In another country, you say you disagree with the religion, you're 9 times out of 10 going to get your hands or head chopped off. In other countries, if you're a woman, you are literally treated as nothing more than a sexual object or something to use for breeding. Not here in America. That does not actually happen that much here in America. It happens to some people, but that's because they're idiots and stay in a relationship where they're being abused whenever they have the right to leave and just choose not to leave because they're idiots. I would know. I was in an abusive relationship. I wasn't the one abusing my partner. I was the one being abused by my partner. I got out of there. I got tired of it. It took me a few years, but I got out of that relationship and I realized it wasn't that good for my well-being. That sometimes it is better to be alone than miserable in a relationship. I'd rather be miserable by myself than miserable because of someone else and still feel like I'm by myself. I mean, look at that. In some countries, women can't even work. They can't even get a job. Here in America, guess what you have? Job. You have the right to choose to get a job. Plain and simple. In other countries, you won't have that choice. Now, yes, I do believe that there is a small smidgen of a wage gap. Do I necessarily believe it's 67 cents on the dollar or 57 cents on a dollar or 98 cents on a dollar or whatever? No. Because those wage gap percentages are presented, wrongly. They're wrongly represented. Because you're looking at the entirety of the country as one being. When it comes to the wage gap, you can't necessarily do that because you have to take into context certain things, like the fact that women are more likely to take off work for children. Women are more likely to stay at home with children. Men are more likely to go to work to make money to bring home for the family and the children. Is this good? Sometimes. But can you complain about a wage gap when people themselves help make the wage gap? No. It's like you have to realize, as a whole, a lot more people out there in this wage gap don't take into account fast food jobs or grocery store jobs, gas station attendant jobs, which are mostly chosen to be worked by females than males. Look at that wage gap. Tipped employees, in general, get paid less than the people who aren't tipped employees. They don't put that into the wage gap parameters. But in other countries, if you have a job as a woman, you know how much your wage gap's going to actually be? You'll be making pennies compared to every man in that country. Unless you're sold as sex slave. Then you ain't making no money and you're just getting sexually abused day in and day out. I mean, we have laws in place to protect female interests more than we have laws in place here in America to protect the male interest. And this is getting a little bit off topic from the Sharia law thing, but it's still on the point that we need to make America great. Not make America great again. I mean, there were some good times here in America, but it was never 100% great. Do I believe that? No, not necessarily. I believe the 90s weren't all that bad. The 90s were pretty cool. We had little problems here in America, very little, compared to the rest of the time here in America. From Bush being in office to Obama being in office and now Trump being in office. Well, that's our fault. We voted these people into office. Okay? And then as soon as they got in office, we were discouraged again. We were encouraged to be against them again. Now, as I said previously, I do believe in some of the stuff Trump said. Did I believe he was going to actually do it when he got in office? No. Some of it's going to be because, one, he's an idiot. And two, because if he does have a good idea, half the time, when a president has a good idea, Congress doesn't like it, so it doesn't get pushed through. So again, that's Congress's fault on top of our fault. Because we're the ones who put Congress into office. So until we vote them out and put better people in their positions, we're going to be stuck with the same bull over and over and over again. But to help America be great, we can't have a court system that supports Sharia law. We just can't. Because all it's going to do is bring down women, make men more misogynist, more likely to be a misogynist. It breaks the rule of separation of church and state. Two main points right there. Brings female people down and breaks the rules of separation of church and state. Y'all can practice your religion all you want, but you cannot have a court system to support people's religions. I don't care if the judge is Christian or not. He's not supposed to let that moral standpoint of him being Christian stop him from passing judgment on you. You as one of the 12, if you're one of the 12 jurors on a trial, you're supposed to put your emotions aside and your religions aside to decide whether you're to decide judgment on this person that is the defendant. You're not supposed to put your religions there and think, well, according to my religion, she ain't got no 5 people to say she got raped, so she ain't get raped. That's not how it works. You're supposed to go, well, my religion says she has to, my religious law practices say that she has to have 5 or more people to prove she wasn't raped. But this is America, and we have separation of church and state, which basically means that now you put that ruling aside and think, does it sound like she was raped? Yes. Does it sound like the dude's a douchebag? Yes. Do I think he raped her? Yes. Does the evidence prove he raped her? Yes. Without witnesses? Still, yes. Well, without beyond a shadow of a doubt, I believe this woman was raped. I'm putting my religious beliefs aside and saying that woman was raped. This guy or gal or Zed or whatever the word you want me to use for the person is now going to prison for rape charges. Separate it. Separate your mind from your religion when you think about laws. Now, some of our laws, yes, here in America, were originally based on religious practices such as, the whole thou shalt not steal. It's illegal to commit a crime of theft. Things like that. Those are rules that were, yes, a religious practice, but that's a religious practice for all religions, and it's just a good rule to have. You shouldn't steal things from other people because it's wrong. We have laws in place because things are wrong. We're not trying to put laws in place to make it where things can be worse. We want new laws that put in place things to make things right, to make them better. Not to bring us down as a country, but to push us up and lift us up and push us forward as a country. Okay? Just think about that next time you think, well, I believe we should have a court system that supports Sharia law. We cannot have it, and we should not have it, because it breaks the rules of humanity, our country, and it brings our country back into a darker age, again, where women didn't have the rights to vote. That's what Sharia law would put in effect in our country. If we had a court that supported it, it would support systems that say women are not allowed to vote. Women are not allowed to have jobs. Women are allowed to be abused by their partners. So let that sink in. Think about that a while. Also, in conclusion, if you like what I said, or you have a comment, or you want to say something about what I said, or if you agree or disagree, let me know in the comment sections below. I would like to actually hear from a lot of you out there in the world of YouTube. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about what I've had to say. Like and subscribe to my channel. Tadpole out.